Every year, over 100 spacecraft are launched into orbit, and even though this marks a success for companies and industries, it also has its downside. Just recently, space junk was potentially found in New South Wales' snowy mountain paddocks, which is a growing concern for those of us left here on Earth. If you want to know which company the space debris belongs to, then you better keep watching to find out. In late July, possible space debris discovered in the NSW Snowy Mountains paddocks. A sizable piece of trash discovered in the middle of a sheep pasture may be space debris from a SpaceX mission, and connected to a loud blast reported earlier last month throughout the area. Numerous people who heard the sound on July 9th turned to social media to report it from as far away as Albury, Wagga Wagga, and Cambry to the Snowy Mountains in southern New South Wales. There was much speculation that it might have been brought on by the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft re-entering the Earth's atmosphere following its November 2020 flight. A nearly 3-meter-high object was found on July 1st by sheep farmer Mick Miners in a remote area of his field in Numbla Vale, south of Jindabyne. Not only that, but this certain object also had serial numbers embedded in it. In a statement, Miners said that he didn't know what to think, and he didn't have any idea what this unknown mass is. Another local, a farmer named Jock Wallace, chimed in saying that the unknown mass must have fell out of the sky, and even remarked that it would have made a big mess if it landed in their home. Wallace claims that after contacting the Civil Aviation Safety Authority, he was instructed to get in touch with the American National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Now, regarding the space junk, an expert from the Australian National University has a theory on what this may be and how they came to be. Are you curious to know what these are? Then keep on watching to find out. Astrophysicist Brad Tucker from the Australian National University College of Science claimed that the debris was most likely from the craft's unpressurized crew trunk. He said it might be the biggest piece of space debris to be found in Australia since NASA's Skylab space station crashed to Earth above Esperance, West Australia in 1979. Pauline and Jeff Greywar later discovered a sizable oxygen tank from the station in 1993, hundreds of kilometers away from Esperance. Tucker further commented that in photographs of the debris, charring can be seen, which is what you would expect from a re-entry to the atmosphere. He explained that it's very rare to see because they don't usually land on land, but in the ocean. The spacecraft was planned to land in the Pacific Ocean between Australia and New Zealand, according to Tucker. Aside from explaining the process of how these space junk came to be, Tucker even went on to elaborate on how these masses got burned. According to Tucker, the craft was probably traveling at 25,000 kilometers per hour when it made re-entry and left behind debris. It was probably responsible for the July 9th blast that was heard by many people. He emphasized that recent assessments indicated there was a 10% risk someone at Earth would be struck by space junk this decade, and that it was probably formed of composites of carbon and aluminum. However, this particular space debris, which is rumored to be from SpaceX, isn't an isolated incident. Many others have increasingly grown in the last few years. According to Tucker, the United States Space Force was keeping an eye on a Chinese booster rocket's unplanned return to Earth in the upcoming days. Astronomer Rebecca Allen from the Swinburne University of Technology concurred with Dr. Tucker's study of the bits, saying they seem to be rocket-faring fragments. The debris had been found in southeast NSW, according to the program director of the Microgravity Experimentation Space Technology and Industry Institute. This shows that although most of it's supposed to burn up in the atmosphere, large pieces don't, Allen said in a statement. This is quite worrying and shows that it's critical to track debris. There could even be issues with it damaging the ozone layer, so we need to do more research in the area. Since we already brought up the issue of space debris increasing over the years, we've got another worrying one, and this time, it's from China. The country's booster rocket is about to fall to Earth, but the concerning part is that no one knows exactly where. There are separate worries over China's choice to permit a giant booster rocket to fall on Earth uncontrolled, and even though a Chinese spacecraft that maintained the nation's permanent orbiting space station mostly burnt up on re-entry in the atmosphere. Just a few minor pieces of the Tianzhou 3 cargo ship managed to fall safely into a designated area of the South Pacific on Wednesday. On July 25th, it docked with the station's Tianhe core module to make room for the addition of a laboratory module. The gigantic 23-ton Long March 5B Y3 rocket, China's most potent, brought the laboratory module to the station, where 3 astronauts are presently living. The booster that has attracted notice from the space world was a component of this rocket. It is unclear exactly when or where the booster will touch down on the Earth because China decided against guiding it back through the atmosphere. Scientists claim that the likelihood of such debris striking a populated location is low because it will primarily burn up upon re-entry. However, the first Long March 5B's fragments that dropped over the Ivory Coast in 2020 caused damage to several structures. Even while China is not the only country that permits unrestricted re-entry, the size of the Long March rocket stage has attracted special attention. After pieces of a Chinese rocket fell in the Indian Ocean, China was charged by NASA for failing to achieve responsible criteria about their space debris last year. The nation received harsh condemnation after it used a missile to shoot down one of its retired meteorological satellites in 2007, leaving a huge debris field in its wake. Zhao Lijian, a spokesperson for the foreign ministry, dismissed these worries. Zhao stated in a briefing on July 25th that China has considered debris reduction and return from orbit into the atmosphere for missions involving rocket carriers and satellites launched into orbit since the development stage of the space engineering program. It is understood that this type of rocket adopts a special technical design that most of the components will be burnt up and destroyed during the re-entry process. Zhao further remarked, the possibility of causing damage to aviation activities or on the ground is extremely low. The People's Liberation Army, the military wing of the ruling Communist Party, oversees China's space program, and its space station operation has mostly been accomplished without outside aid. Because of its military connections to its space program, the US refused to let China on the International Space Station. Since more and more space debris is falling on Earth, it left us wondering, what are the possibilities that it will hit someone or hurt something? We have already witnessed 2 independent instances of space debris returning to Earth in unexpected locations in the past week alone. A Chinese Long March 5B rocket made an uncontrolled re-entry over Malaysia on Saturday. Earlier today, it was determined that the spacecraft pieces that were previously claimed to have been discovered in the rural New South Wales were indeed from a SpaceX Crew 1 mission. It is safe to predict that as the space industry develops, such occurrences will only increase in frequency and may present a risk. But exactly how much of a risk? The remaining parts of a space system that are no longer needed are referred to as space trash. It could be a rocket system component that has served its purpose and is being discarded, or it could be a satellite that has reached the end of its useful life, like the International Space Station. So how dangerous are these falling debris? Should we be worried? Well, as far as we know, it has only ever struck one individual in 1997. A piece struck Tulsa, Oklahoma resident Lottie Williams. It is believed to have originated from a Delta II rocket and was roughly the size of her hand. She took it, brought it home, and reported it to the police the following day. However, as more and more things travel into space and return to Earth, the likelihood that someone or something will be hit is rising. This is particularly true of big erratic objects like the Long March 5B. There are many various estimates of the likelihood that someone may be struck by space debris, but the majority fall in the 1 in 10,000 range. This is the likelihood that anyone anywhere in the world may be struck. However, the likelihood that a specific person, like you or me, will be struck is on the order of 1 in a trillion. There's a pretty slim chance that space debris could hit you, but that doesn't mean the possibility doesn't exist. And since we've run out of time, that will be it for today's video. Do you think that our country has a high chance of getting hit by space debris? Let us know in the comment section below. Before you go, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel with the notification bell on for more videos like these, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching!